What's up, y'all? Have you heard about the latest hit from the Second City? It's called The Devil is in the Detours, and it's being hailed as gutsy by the Tribune and another crackerjack cast of talented, charismatic performers, clearly creative and a joy to watch by the Sun-Times. That was very visual and descriptive. This is the Second City's 112th main stage review, and it's a hilarious and unhinged descent into a dimension where chaos reigns. The show runs Tuesdays through Sundays at the Second City in Old Town. Grab your tickets now at secondcity.com and go on and join the fun. Yo, are you one of those people who like scrolling through real estate listings, maybe watching shows where people find their dream homes? Have you ever thought about turning that into a job? Nah, for real, like seriously getting paid for your passion. Well, as a real estate broker, you can have a flexible work schedule that means you can make money on the real estate stuff, but then use your scrolling time for other things you love. And if you're like, Jacoby, that sounds cool and all, but where do I even start? I got you. Learn how you can get started this summer by visiting realtorsrealestateschool.com/begin. Today on CityCast Chicago, the DNC says it's preparing for up to 25,000 new arrivals to Chicago. The South Side welcomes new tech and healthcare hubs, and the Chicago Sky announced a new $40 million state-of-the-art practice facility. We're breaking down all that and more with professor and author Ariane Nettles and Block Club Chicago's Atavia Reed. It's Friday, July 26th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is What Chicago's Talking About. Morning, my friends. Morning, Ari. How you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling great because I'm here with two of my favorite people in the whole wide world.
Hey, we appreciate you being here. We know you got a lot on your plate as you are preparing to leave us in the next couple of weeks.
Don't say that.
We're not going to talk about that right now. Atavia, welcome back to CityCast Chicago, my friend. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Thank you so much for having me back. I mean, it's Friday, right? That's what it's all about.
Hey, this is the last Friday of July, y'all. And as our producer, Michelle Navarro, would say, July is like the Saturday of the summer, like the Saturday of the year. So I want to check in with y'all. When y'all think back on y'all July and reflect, maybe what's the most fun thing you did in July or the best thing you ate? Ari, I want to start with you.
Yes. So Cindy's Rooftop, the best thing I ate.
I'm familiar.
Yes, you are familiar, right? But I think most people, you think of it because of the rooftop and the vibes and the drinks. That's not what I'm remembering. I am remembering this lamb ragu, okay? So me and my friend, we were about to go see a show and we're like, okay, we don't have much time, and we looked and we saw like down the bar, some girls and they were like sharing a lamb ragu and they were just kind of picking at it. And we were like, oh, well, it must be a large portion because like they have so much left. We devoured that lamb ragu in less than 7 minutes. I would say get your own. I might get two. I might get one for later because it was literally that good. It was perfection.
You know who got a good lamb ragu? Ema.
Really?
I think they're over in like River North. The lamb ragu is amazing. They also sometimes have like a crispy short rib because it's a lamb. Actually, let me go back. Ema has a good lamb ragu hummus.
Oh my goodness.
And so it's a great homemade hummus with the lamb ragu in it. It's amazing, G. I'm putting you on.
I'm going to get it. Period. Let's all go.
Atavia, over to you. What is one of the best things you ate in July?
Oh man, how do I even top that? Okay, so I went to this restaurant called Hing Ki in Chinatown.
Okay.
And they're known for their soup dumplings, but I've been on the scallion pancake kick. Like, I can't get enough. I will order a stack. I will just sit there and devour it. And that's exactly what I got. And it was perfect. I mean, everything was good. Had like a buffet style meal with friends and family, but you got to get the scallion pancakes. It was perfect.
$8.50 for a scallion pancake appetizer. That ain't too bad.
It's not.
That's not too bad. But like you said, as soon as you go to their website, they say best dumplings and soup noodles in Chicago, but it don't stop there. You say we got to check out the Scallion Pancakes. That's over on 2140 South Archer in Chinatown. We will drop both of those in the show notes. Hing Key and then Cindy's Rooftop in the Loop as well. I'm trying to think, what is the best thing I ate? I had and it was surprising because I don't really like ricotta, but I went to Daisy's in Logan Square and I had their ravioli, and they had the ricotta, sweet corn cream, the jalapeno. Devoured it. It was so good. And I didn't even expect to like it as much as I did, but I've been there twice. I went twice in July, and the pasta is so good. It's so good. Deserved all the hype. Shout out to Daisy's 2.0.
Let me tell you, every time I go and I eat at Daisy's, I've also only been twice, but the first time I went there, I was like, am I in a TV show? Am I like, oh, should I sit right here while they cook for me? Like, where should I go? And no matter what I order, it is so good. I think I got like a truffle ravioli the first time I went. I'm blanking on the exact dish, but it was delicious. Like, it was close to closing time too. I know they were like, please get out, but I was scraping the plate. I love Daisy's. So next time I go, I will get that dish. I can't wait.
I have been the last person there twice.
Okay, so we're going to Daisy's and we're going to Ema because I owe y'all, because y'all are actually the two journalists that moderated like my conversations for my book. So I owe y'all both anyways. Let's go. Let's get some dinner. Like, let's do it.
If you are new to CityCast Chicago, welcome. Every single Friday, we like to bring in our friends to talk about some of the big stories happening this week. I would also suggest you go back because we are here Monday through Friday. So go back and listen to our great episodes from this week on the podcast. I mean, this week alone, we talked about a wine lover's guide to Chicago. We talked about what would a transit agency merger look like in the Chicagoland area if Metro Pace CTA came together. And today we've got some more big stories for you. Ariane, I'm going to start with you. We are already like sort of full steam ahead, full momentum ahead for next month, Democratic National Convention, which obviously got even more interesting over this past week as we have seen President Joe Biden step down, endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. We've seen records amount of money raised from the Democratic Party, a whole lot of energy, it seems. But also we've been talking this entire time of what does it mean for the number of new arrivals to the city of Chicago. Since August of 2022, Chicago has seen over 45,000 migrants, largely sent from the Texas border to the city of Chicago via bus, via train, via plane. That number has slowed down over recent weeks and recent months, but DNC folks say they are preparing for potentially that number to skyrocket again. What's the latest here?
Yeah, so people are preparing for upwards of 25,000 new potential arrivals, sent specifically from Republican areas by Republican leaders, right? And again, this is kind of back to using people as pawns, right? Trying to make political statements saying, well, if you want to be so welcoming here, you handle people, right? And so as the city tries to work through issues such as, health concerns, issues of safety in a lot of the short-term shelters, trying to make sure people are able to transition from short-term living arrangements to longer-term living arrangements. It is likely that the city needs to also prepare for buses, multiple of new arrivals within this period. And so it's just really unfortunate because people are not pawns. These are real people. There's always so many children. And so I think that though acknowledging that and being prepared for that early on is important, but it's unclear, I think, at this moment exactly what that entailed and just how possible that is.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where my questions of how prepared can you be? There have already been concerns around the city clearing out tent encampments near some of the locations where
Exactly.
the DNC is going to be held, and saying that they've offered people spots inside of temporary shelter. But then you follow the paper trail and say, well, some people in the temporary shelter have been asked to move. And again, when we're talking about close to 50,000 people arriving over the last 2 years, and the city has largely been on the back foot trying to provide people with these resources, I find it very hard to believe that you can be prepared for 25,000 people to come in the span of just a few weeks, that you have the amount of beds when we've already seen the city lack the ability to kind of consistently be able to house people, especially folks who are arriving sort of back to back to back.
And I think, one very realistic worry is that the quote unquote preparation for it could be to kind of move folks away from the areas, near the United Center, near downtown, where most of the people coming in would see that, and kind of push it towards other areas, further south, for example, further west, where people would not see it, right? And I mean, we see this often when there is big major things, right? Like I'm thinking about like the 96 Olympics, right? In Atlanta. I remember I was a kid and I went down there and it was like, oh, the big thing was getting homeless people away from downtown, right? They didn't care where you went as long as you were out of this space, right? So it's optics is often a thing. And that is just like a very realistic thing that people know could happen. And I think that at the end of the day, it feels like Chicago is often on an island with a lot of these issues, right? Like you don't see, neighbors saying, hey, we know that you're struggling in Chicago, so we opened up these shelters to help, right? Like we don't really see a lot of that. So how much can you prepare for this?
A couple of weeks ago, I don't know how excited. I don't even know if people are excited now, but a couple of weeks ago, the energy around the DNC felt to be a little flat, very logistics heavy here in Chicago, but we expected a sort of routine as usual. President Joe Biden selected as a nominee, and we sort of move forward with what that looks like. And now we're in a completely different position. For a few hours, some people over the last weekend thought, oh my God, does that mean Governor Pritzker, who's always been in the conversation of running for president, is now suddenly going to be back there? But earlier this week, he came out, endorsed VP Harris as the Democratic nominee. But his name is still, it seems, on a short list for now to replace Harris as the next VP on the ticket. I want to hear from both of y'all, because when I'm on social, a lot of my friends or a lot of the people I see in Chicago, Illinois, are like, no, we want to hold on to our Illinois governor, which is not a
That's
vibe
exactly
that
it.
I actually
We don't wanna
experienced
share.
in my lifetime.
Yeah, no, JB needs to stay right here. Like we need him here.
What do you all think is driving that momentum? And also, what do you think the likelihood that, because again, that's a very big political office, very big political step for someone who may be looking to kind of climb that ladder. So, all right, what is your thoughts around JB Pritzker potentially being on that short list and, moving into that role?
Yeah, I think it's not a surprise, right? I think that, one of the reasons why so many people, we're seeing on Twitter and other social media, people saying like, JB, stay here with us, right? Like y'all get your own person, is because, he has a track record of kind of delivering on what he says he's going to deliver, right? And I think that has been really surprising for a lot of us. We have not had, perhaps maybe a lot of people will argue. I know I would personally argue that we have not always had the best track record with governors, especially. And I think that he would be a really good option for a VP running mate. But I would just say that also the other people who are also potential VPs also are good running mates, right? He has some pretty good competition for other choices as well, right?
There may be some more valuable, like sort of swing state momentum to be gained. Some would argue in others. And
yeah,
I'm pretty skeptical that he would maybe leave this job to
At
go
this
and be
point.
the vice president, given the goodwill he's seemingly built amongst his own constituency. I mean, he for us to be even saying this about a literal billionaire, right? For even though, you know, he lost the graduated income tax fight, people applaud how vigorously he fought there. He's seen an assault weapons ban. He's seen Illinois' credit ratings take some turnarounds. You've seen weed legalized in Illinois under him. And some of these are policies that folks are trying to push for at the federal level as well. And so his track record definitely, like you all said, seems to put him in a good position to be to join the ticket. But yeah, again, that energy around people saying, can we keep Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker? I'm not shocked at it, but I am also a little like, I don't think I've seen an Illinois politician get that kind of social support in my life.
Yeah, I will also add that I think that Pritzker's, you know, over the last couple of years, his push of being extremely vocal about Illinois being a safe haven for abortion and abortion rights is really helpful, right? You know, so we know that is literally one of the top issues in this presidential election. And I think people seeing those actions and not just people talking, because I think at the end of the day, voters are tired of people talking. They want to see what people have done. And I think that the fact that he has been able to at least, you know, when we talk about abortion, put in specific policies that can serve more than even just Illinoisans, I think that's gonna really help him.
Batavia, even just in the people you've talked to this week, how have you seen that momentum shift when you're asking people their thoughts around the election?
Yeah, I mean, people are very clear about their support for Kamala and wanting her to take the seat, but they've also been very strict about JB needing to stay here. Everyone kind of feels that way. It's a politician's job, or part of their job at least, to be personable, to be likable, but the bar is in hell. And not only is he that, but he's also standing 10 toes down on policy reform. So people have been very vocal. JB, stay right here. That's the thing, stay right by my side.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. The best way to learn a language is immersion, living where the language is spoken and using it every day. That's how I learned French as a kid. But if that's not in the cards for you this year, you can still learn a language the second best way, and that's with Babbel. I live in a city with a huge immigrant population. You probably do too. And in my hometown, a lot of my new neighbors speak Spanish as a first language, and we have lots of great Mexican and Central American and South American restaurants and stores. I wanted to be able to communicate just a little bit better with some of my neighbors. So I started with Babbel, the science-backed language learning app that actually works. And after just a few extremely enjoyable weeks learning Spanish with Babbel, I've already gotten comfortable ordering at a restaurant and eavesdropping on my girlfriend's conversations with her mom. Look, learning a language isn't always easy, but with Babbel it is fun and it feels useful, basically immediately. That's why Babbel has over 16 million subscriptions sold. Plus, all of Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. Here's a special limited-time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
What's up, y'all? While most of our favorite summer festivals are just one day or one weekend, Ravinia's festival season is all summer long. You can pick from dozens and dozens of great concerts between now and September. All right, if you're thinking, Kobe, that sounds amazing, but what is Ravinia? I got you. It's North America's longest running outdoor music festival, sitting on a beautiful 36 acres right off the Ravinia Park Metro stop. And trust me, there's truly something for everybody. On July 27th, you can catch Killer Queen, a tribute to Queen, or you can check out Gypsy Kings with Nicholas Reyes on July 31st, or maybe the Indigo Girls and Melissa Etheridge is more your speed on August 11th. I made my decision. TLC and Shaggy, August 31st. I will see you there. I'm going to be out there with a loaded picnic bag and a nice blanket. But remember, you can also get yourself a pavilion seat if you like. I like to do a picnic pavilion combo. Check out Ravinia's full summer calendar now in the show notes and buy your tickets only at ravinia.org. Tavia, I want to stay with you. You've published two amazing stories about forthcoming hubs to the South Side, the Center for Better Aging in Inglewood and Exchange, a tech center in Greater Grand Crossing. Let's start in Inglewood. Can you tell me more about this center and what it means for residents?
Yeah, so it's no secret that decades of disinvestment and harmful policies have affected South and West Side communities. But when you look at the health disparities that exist in communities like Inglewood, it's stark. I mean, there's a 10-year life expectancy gap between people who are in Central North Side communities and in South Side communities like Inglewood. So the Center for Better Aging is hoping to reorient healthcare and really change that. And they're starting with people 50 and older because they're saying, let's go into preventative care and see how we can change the status quo. And I know when people hear 50, they're like, hold on, like that's not older. Like, I'm just starting to shine. But I think what's important here is providing immediate access right now to people in Inglewood.
Mm-hmm. I mean, can we discuss like what type of services will directly be available to residents?
There are so many things available at the center, from primary care to chronic disease management, nutrition, counseling, wellness coaching. The list is very long. And because it's in St. Bernard Hospital, there's also like the pharmacy downstairs. There's access to mammograms, CT scans. So people can go to the center, to this hospital, and have everything taken care of there.
Beautiful. From the Center for Better Aging over to Inglewood, over to Exchange and Greater Grand Crossing. We were currently in the midst of Chicago Tech Week, or Tech Chicago Week. And one of the big announcements was this major workforce center. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, so Exchange Chicago will be opening Greater Grand Crossing in January. And what's huge about this is that it'll be bringing tech jobs to the South Side, but also training people who live in Greater Grand Crossing and surrounding South Side communities in just every job in IT. So it's a collaboration between P33, which is a nonprofit that specializes in inclusivity, SDI Presence, which is an IT management, and also the Gary Comer campus. Speaking to someone at P33, they're like, when you imagine someone working in tech, you probably see them in a Patagonia vest, walking around the loop, typing on their computers. You don't imagine the South Side, unfortunately. But Exchange Chicago is trying to change that and showing people like you can access this, and we're going to help you do that.
I love that these two facilities are going to be less than 3 miles away from each other, and what that means for everything in between, from Inglewood to Woodlawn to Greater Grand Crossing to Gresham. How important is it for residents to be able to see these jobs, get this training directly in their community, especially as Chicago is in some ways growing as we see more and more tech businesses open in Chicago or move to Chicago?
Yeah, I think there's an importance in seeing to believe something. Someone can tell you can do something. Someone can tell you that possibilities exist everywhere. But knowing that it's down the street from you and you can access that and they are prioritizing you, I think that's game changing. So seeing something like the Center for Better Aging or Exchange Chicago open a community is saying like, hey, like, I can change what the trajectory of my life looks like if I want to, because this is available to me.
Before we move on to our last segment of the day, I did want to bring some attention to a rally that's taking place this Saturday, 11 a.m. at Federal Plaza. And it's calling for justice for Sonia Massey, the family of Sonia Massey. We have heard from this week after body cam footage was released that showed the 36-year-old Black woman being gunned down in her home by a police officer in Springfield. I mean, we have been here many times over our 3 years of this podcast talking about Black people who have been gunned down, whether in the streets or in their home, by police officers. And obviously it hits all of us extremely hard. I mean, I've tried to avoid seeing the video, but it's social media. You really can't unless you just sort of log off or scroll away. I mean, what have y'all been doing for yourselves this week?
There are certain times when social media is a time that does bring us together to talk about stuff, right? And I think that I have seen so many people being vulnerable, being open, sharing kindness and love towards each other, especially other Black women. And I've tried to like really sit in that, right? Like there's so much that's outside of our control. And like, yes, we got to organize a lot of times. We got to march. We got to get ready, you know? So, but sometimes for a moment, you got to just sit with how you feel, like how you personally feel about something so that you'll have the strength to organize, to march, to do those things. Because we're still human in this fight. Like we gotta find some gentleness there, some care.
Yeah. The sheriff's deputy who gunned down Massey in her home has been fired, was indicted by a grand jury last week on 3 counts of first-degree murder, on 1 count, aggravated battery with a firearm, official misconduct, and the investigation is ongoing. Atavia, over to you.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Ari had to say. I think there's strength and gentleness and taking time for yourself. I think it's also about being honest with yourself and knowing when you've reached your limit of either what you're reading or what you're seeing and taking that space and not feeling guilt about it. I think that's something I've been trying to do. And something that's worked for me has just been reading. I think connecting to literature. I think reading some Toni Morrison, some poems by Gwendolyn Brooks, really just connecting to art and people who live this, people who continue to live this, really just shows the power of community and unfortunately how things haven't changed, but how people can really rally together to just find a moment of solace amidst the chaos.
Our hearts, our thoughts, our minds were with the family of Sonia Massey. Again, we'll drop a link to the rally that's taking place this Saturday in the Loop. And again, I appreciate both of y'all for making time with me to kind of move through that. When was the last time you visited Chicago's free zoo? Nah, for real, Lincoln Park Zoo is free. I was just up there like 2 months ago. From outings with family and friends to a picture-perfect date spot, Lincoln Park Zoo makes for a perfect, budget-friendly summer day. In between the penguin encounters, carousel rides, delicious food, free daily programs, and more, trust me, there is so much to do. Like, did you know Lincoln Park Zoo has one of the largest zoo-based conservation and science programs in the country? They prioritize conservation, both here in Chicago and around the world, and they take animal care very seriously, running the nation's top zoo-based animal welfare science program. So as you catch a glimpse of the many animals at Lincoln Park Zoo during your next visit, like my personal favorite, the red panda and snow leopard, you can feel good knowing your visit makes an impact. This summer, visit the pride of Chicago, Lincoln Park Zoo. Go to lpzoo.org to plan your next visit to Chicago's free zoo this summer. Every episode of CityCast Chicago ends the same way, and that is with some good news, something light, something positive, a great story we read this week, an event we're excited for. Ari, what is your good news?
Hey,
Please teach me how to hit that note. My goodness.
I
need or yeah.
I know, you just, and I feel like over every 100 episodes or so, you hit it better, you know?
I appreciate you.
So tomorrow, Saturday, I am doing an event with Read and Run Chicago. They do these really amazing, cool tours where you kind of are running. So it's a run club, but you're doing a tour about a book. Last weekend, they did Last Summer on State Street, which is a really amazing book. And this week, it is A Few Red Drops. And so, you know, that book is about the Red Summer in Chicago. So Chicago race riots. And so, again, we're talking a little bit about something that may be violence, but we're talking about like the resilience of people, what came from that. I think a lot of times, you know, I don't know about y'all, but I did not necessarily grow up knowing about Red Summer, period. And so making sure this isn't a forgotten time period, right? Like, and so my part of the tour, I'll be at the Chicago Defender and its old building, and I'll basically be talking about its role that that summer. And so everybody has different parts. You know, another friend of the pod, Sherman Dilla Thomas, has a stop. So it'll be a really kind of fun event.
We love our friends over at Read and Run Chicago. In addition to the pretty easy paced 5 mile loop that they're going to be doing through Bronzeville, seeing some amazing speakers like Ariane, Sherman, aka Six Figure Dilla. They're also going to be watching the Looking Glass Theater's free outdoor performance of Sunset 19, an artistic ritual featuring music, movement, art, and word commemorating the start of the 1919 Chicago race riots. So this is a great event. We will drop a link in the show notes for you. All right, thank you for putting us on. Let's keep the good news rolling. Atavia, take us back to Inglewood.
Yeah, so social justice artist Tonika Johnson is raising $500,000 to repair more homes on 65th and Aberdeen Street. So she started her project Unblocked Inglewood a little over a year ago, and she used funding she received from a city program along with the Chicago Bungalow Association and the Inglewood's Arts Collective to really transform this block. And there are a few homes on this block that were sold using land sale contracts, which is a discriminatory housing practice that was unfortunately very popular in the 50s and 60s on the South and West sides. And it's how a lot of people got over Black homeowners and they realized they never even owned their homes. So to use art as a way to rectify that and to get back at that, she's helping people repair their homes. This means helping them fix their roofs, helping with plumbing, electrical work, things like that that are really difficult to pay for. And once they have that done, she hopes to raise even more money to just continue to beautify the block. They have this new gorgeous block club sign courtesy of the Inglewood's Arts Collective. They got a mural. I love when community comes together and like seeing that with my own eyes. I love that. And
I love the projects that Johnson has been responsible for, from the Folded Map Project, as you said, Inequity for Sale, and this as well. I mean, I'm not sure how many people who listen to us are homeowners. I'm not one myself, but my mom, you know, put me on a lot of game, and she talks to me about how the landscape in her neighborhood has changed over her lifetime and what it means for a family, particularly an older family, to get critical repairs done. That can be the difference between selling your home or keeping your home and your family, because you may think, oh, the foundation is going to need just so much work. The plumbing is going to need so much work. I'd rather just get the money now. And you see investment properties, flippers, people who are able to, I don't want to just say prey to say everyone's doing that, but folks can prey on those vulnerabilities and scoop someone's home right up from underneath them. And so it is important both in the short term to have these repairs, but what that can mean for a family down the road, I think is so important to think about.
Yeah. And something she mentioned too is that people are like, apply for city programs, apply for assistance to get this work done. But a lot of the times you can't receive that assistance or that funding if you have critical errors within your home. If your roof is falling apart, if your electrical work, your plumbing, all these things are in disrepair, you probably can't apply to get that funding that you need. So by doing this, it's helping pushing that along to make that work easier, to make those things possible for older residents in the community, like you said.
One more piece of good news, and I'll sing it for us. Some good news. And it's another piece of investment news. And the Chicago Sky announced that they are going to be investing nearly $40 million finally in building a state-of-the-art practice facility for the Chicago Sky for the 2026 WNBA season. Obviously, the WNBA stays in the news. Chicago's Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, they stay in the news, but it's also good to see that the money is coming into the team directly in a way that's going to make a huge impact on the daily lives of the team members, is going to make an impact on the type of players we're able to get to come and stay at the Sky. I don't know if y'all seen videos of the Sky's current facility, but it's sad. It's sad. It looks like fifth graders is supposed to be practicing in there for their basketball AAU tournament. And so it's just good to see that the Sky are putting some money where their mouth is, because the excitement feels like it's at an all-time high. It's going to be in Bedford Park on the southwest side, but it's like right adjacent to Midway and the rest of the city. And so the players will still be very close to the city of Chicago, which they say will give them more housing opportunities, more opportunities to explore the city. So that's just another piece of good news coming out of this WNBA season that I'm very excited for. It's a long time coming.
I love it. And since we last talked about sports, I have now become a sports girly, okay? Because
you say that every time, dog. You say that every time.
But now I am a sports girly because of the WNBA. I am a sports girly, okay? I still don't watch the MNBA, really, but I watch the WNBA, okay? I am a Reese's Piece, okay? Angel Reese, come on, double queen, okay? I watch Sports Center. Okay.
Come on.
I watched the All-Star game last weekend with my nieces. Okay. So I'm a sports girly now. So I'm locked in.
No, it's very clear that energy is palpable, right? You've been here. The team has been here, right? We've been great in the last couple of years. We won a championship in the last few years.
I had a Candace Parker jersey, but now I'm really locked in. I'm like really locked in.
Well, they're currently on their Olympic summer break, but they'll be back in less than a month. And so we will be back out at Wintrust. Again, exciting news. I want to thank our amazing guest for being here today, Professor, author extraordinaire, Ariane Nettles, one of our favorite guests, one of the people who stopped by so much over the last 3 years. It has been a pleasure. I'm not saying you going anywhere, but you can be on the podcast still, but you going to Florida, so it ain't going to be as often.
But I still be tapped in.
I'm going to invite you. I will still invite you.
That's
I
what
promise.
I'm saying. Don't forget about me.
Thank you for making time for us today, Ari.
Thank you.
And Atavia, we always appreciate you coming through, shedding some light on some of our favorite Southside neighborhoods. It means the world to us.
Thank you so much. And being here with two of my favorite people, two of my favorite journalists, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so, so much.
Before I let you go, I got to give a huge thank you to the entire CityCast Chicago team. That includes our executive producer, Simone Alicea, our producer, Michelle Navarro, our Hey Chicago newsletter editor, Sydney Madden, the music we all love from Sam Thousand, all the kimonos, and Mark Greenberg from the Mayfair Workshop, everybody back at headquarters. My last thank you, of course, is for all of y'all, the people who listen to CityCast Chicago, who re-hey Chicago, who bookmark our website, chicago.citycast.fm, and most importantly, the folks who are back here bright and early on Monday. Y'all are my favorite. I mean, if you listen to this part of the episode, you my favorite. Peace.